Stocks rally along with dollar, oil plunges. After a choppy start, U.S. equities finished higher on Tuesday, scoring fresh all-time highs amid upbeat economic data and dovish tones from the Fed. Federal Reserve Governor Lael Brainard said that the central bank should pivot to provide more support for U.S. economic growth. On the data front, the ISM's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index climbed from 54.2 in July to 56 versus 54.5 expected, marking the highest reading since January 2019. Details of the report revealed that prices paid index rose to 59.5 from 53.2. The new orders index advanced to 67.6 from 61.5, and the employment index improved to 46.4 from 44.3. As a result, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.8%, as well as the S&P 500, while the Nasdaq Composite Index advanced 1.1%. Asian stocks were mixed on Wednesday, with most equities rebounding after a sluggish start to finish mostly higher. Australia's economy officially entered a recession after the second quarter economic data revealed the country's gross domestic product had shrunk by a record 7% after a fall of 0.3% in the first quarter. The slump was larger than economists' forecasts of a 6% drop. From a year earlier, the GDP tumbled 6.3% versus an estimated 5.1% fall. Nevertheless, the S&P ASX in Sydney soared 1.8% by the end of the session. Meanwhile, Tokyo's Nikkei index finished 0.4% higher. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index closed down 0.2%. The Shanghai Composite was down 0.1% lower, while Seoul's Kospi index ended 0.6% higher. European stocks closed slightly higher on Wednesday despite worrying economic indicators in the region and amid the euro's pullback from a two-year high. The Pan-European Stock 600 index ended up 1.6%, with almost all sectors firmly in the green. The German DAX and the French CAC 40 rose over 2% each, and the FTSE 100 gained 1.7%. The German retail sales figures fell unexpectedly in July by 0.9% versus a gain of 0.5% expected. The data released a day earlier showed that the Eurozone consumer prices dropped in August for the first time in 4 years. In the U.S., the ADP data showed that private payrolls rose 428,000 in August versus the median economist estimate that U.S. companies would add 1 million jobs during the month. Economists expect the government's non-farm pay report on Friday to show a gain of 1.32 million in August. A separate report showed that factory orders rose more than expected in July, pointing to continued improvement in the manufacturing sector. The Federal Reserve's Beige Book report showed U.S. businesses saw a modest increase in activity and employment increased throughout late August, but some areas of the country saw weak growth. Wall Street stocks rose sharply on Wednesday, continuing a strong start to September despite the economic report coming in at much worse than expected. The Dow Jones Industrial Average advanced 1.6%, the S&P 500 gained 1.5%, while the Nasdaq Composite was higher by 1%. Both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq hit record highs again. As for currencies, the dollar gained across the board on Wednesday and extended the recovery earlier on Thursday. The euro has already pulled back below 1.18 and could suffer further losses in the short term as traders prefer to take profit at this stage, with the greenback regaining its appeal amid positive economic data out and if the U.S. and renewed hopes for a second package of fiscal supportive measures. In other markets, oil prices plunged aggressively after failed attempts to break above the 200 DMA. Brent plunged despite a favorable crude inventory report that showed oil inventories in the United States had shrunk by nearly 10 million barrels. One of the reasons behind the sell-off was the fact that the data showed gasoline demand fall. The output in the Gulf of Mexico had seen a strong recovery from Hurricane Laura. The EIA reported that U.S. crude inventories fell by 9.4 million barrels for the week ending August 28, marking a sixth weekly decline in a row. Gasoline demand last week fell to 8.78 million barrels per day from 9.16 million a week earlier. As a result, Brent crude dipped sharply but managed to hold above the $44 handle. Earlier on Thursday, the futures were struggling for direction at around $44.30. Asian stock markets rose Thursday after another rally on Wall Street. A survey showed China's service sector activity grew for a fourth straight month in August, staying above the 50 mark, adding to investor optimism. Australia's S&P ASX 200 rose 0.9%, and Japan's Nikkei added 1.3%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index was up 0.2%, while China's blue chip index was 0.35% higher during the session. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please click subscribe to always be in touch with the latest market news.